Well, hi, Jane. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom and good evening from Jerusalem.
Laila Tov. I know that's good night, but I hope you're having a great evening. Thank you for taking just a few minutes to chat with us. We here in the States are watching a lot of news about what's happening in Israel and especially in Jerusalem. We just thought we'd chat with you, and we're so thankful that you're taking a minute to do this, about who you are and what life right now is like in Jerusalem and Israel. So give us a little bit of your background and how you ended up in Jerusalem.
Yes, well, I was born and raised in Denmark in a Christian family. My grandfather's sister was saving Jewish people during the Second World War at their farm. My grandparents prayed for Israel every day. My mom has been the leader for 30 years for a prayer group for Israel, growing up in church, reading about Israel and the Bible. And, there was just this, like, I got to go and see, I got to go put my feet in the ground. And so I started going like on regular tourist group with my mom, with a great travel leader from Denmark. And, coming here, I was like, my goodness, this is walking in the Holy Land. This is like walking in the Bible. And I remember the first time I left, I was like, I don't want to go back. So I came a couple of times with tourist group and for the Feast of Tabernacles. And it was just amazing to be here. And I remember at one time we were in a public bus and there was this Jewish woman, she was saying, where are you from? Where are you from? And I said, I'm from Denmark. And she's like, why are you here? You're not afraid? This is Israel. We have bomb and terror. And it really touched my heart. I was like, are you serious? That's how she feels. And then on another trip, we met a woman whose daughter was blown to pieces by a suicide terrorist. And this little woman was standing telling her story, and she wasn't even crying. And I was sobbing, and everybody was sobbing. I remember I walked up to her and I took her hand and I said, thank you for, sharing your story and being so brave. And she says, thank you. You're probably wondering why I'm not crying, and you're crying. And I said, yes. And she said, I don't have any more tears. What did my daughter do to deserve to die like that? And I didn't have an answer. So I went back to Denmark. It deeply, deeply, deeply impacted me. And then when I was watching Danish news, I was like, why are they so anti-Israel? Why is it like everything Israel is doing, it's wrong, it's wrong? And I was like, it contradicts what the Bible is saying. So 2001, Yasser Arafat was announced to come to Denmark, red carpet out. And I was like, I really felt God was saying, would you go and stand with Israel? So my mom and I jumped the train for 6 hours and we went into the Danish parliament and we were calling up other Christians like, Yasser Arafat is coming here. We got to do something. We got to stand with Israel. And there was like, nobody was like, nothing. So my mom and I stood there all alone with 2 Israeli flags. And I remember we were like, are we even going to make a difference? But long story short, this Jewish guy walked over the street and he came all the way up to my face and he was like, why are you holding my flag? And I said, because Yasser Arafat is coming, someone needs to stand with Israel. And he just bursted into tears. And he said, every time I see someone with my flag, they're burning it out of hate. And he was just sobbing. And I was like, if I had traveled just for this, it would be worth it. And then it started pouring down. And the sky was black and the atmosphere was so evil, I can't describe it. And then Yasser Arafat's convoy came, one car after another, and they passed us and we were standing with this Israeli flag. And it was like, the velvet was just pulled from my eye. I was like, my goodness, when it comes to Israel, this is a spiritual battle. It was so evil, I can't explain. And so we were just standing there when he came and when he left, and our Israeli flags was touching the roof of his car. And I was just like, God used that to open my eyes, but also to speak to me that someday, somehow I will use you regarding Israel. And then in 2007, we were here with the prayer group my mom was leading. And I remember we was in the bus. Normally I was up in front with my mom, but I was sitting in the back and all of a sudden my hands was getting wet. And I realized I was sobbing. I was like, why am I crying? I was like, what's going on? And I just heard that audible voice. God said, I will bring you back to Israel. Long story short, 2010, I sold everything I had. I knew there was something in Israel for me, not knowing anyone, not knowing where to go, not knowing anything. But I said, I'm going to step out in faith. Even people were saying, where are you going to live? What are you going to do? I bought a plane ticket. I went to Israel. For a couple of years, I was just kind of like going in on a tourist visa, just spending time in prayer, just saying, God, why am I here? What am I doing here? Why am I here? And then I saw mainstream media was coming so much against Israel. And I was like, you know what? I think God has brought me here to be boots on the ground, to start sharing what's really going on. Long story short, I started doing that. I made a page on Facebook. It's not a two-state solution. The Bible is not a lie. God is not a liar. This is a one-state solution. This is the covenant to the Jewish people. So I made a page on Facebook called Israel One Nation. And I started making videos, I started writing, I started, and it just grew and it grew and it grew and it grew. And people started paying attention. And now I'm sitting here with almost 200,000 people who follows me all around the world on that one page alone. People saying, but Jane, we don't hear what's going on in Israel. And when we do, it's not true. So I just kind of slowly started doing that and becoming more and more noticed. And now I have actually been here 5 years on a journalist visa issued by the Israeli government, because they kind of realized, well, she's doing something. So it has just been stepping out in faith when I didn't know what God wanted me to do, when I didn't know what to do, coming here and living by faith all of this time, not funded by anyone, literally just one woman stepping out in faith saying, you know what? The Bible is true. This is the Holy Land. This is the Jewish people's land. And the fake mainstream media and the anti-Israel propaganda and the lie of occupation, someone has to do something. And that's what I'm trying to do every day on all my social media. Well, sorry for a long answer.
I love it, because we want to know about you. And I was, you're speaking and near the end, I said, there's power in truth. Yeah. There's power in truth. There's keys to open doors with truth. And I believe that's why the Israelis have welcomed you and brought you there. You are a voice of truth to the world, and through social media. And people aren't dumb. Israelis are brilliant people, and they see the value in you speaking the truth about their land. And I want to know the truth, and so do people that are viewing this. What is it like right now? You're in Jerusalem, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Are you feeling safe? Are there rockets coming at you right now? What we see in the media, we want the truth from you. What is it like in the city?
Listen, I haven't slept for a month, because this has been horrific this last month it started before the rocket attacks. I have been boots on the ground now for more than those 5 years, because it started before. And I have literally shared every time we had a terror attack, every time we had a ramming attack, stoning attack, shooting attack, stabbing attack, rockets flying in. Many people around the world now are flabbergasted when they follow me. And because they think, oh, there was just some rocket now, or there was a terror attack. No, this has been going on for years. Hamas has sent 22,000 rockets into Israel since they brutally took over the Gaza Strip, but nobody shared that. So I have been sharing that. I started going on the Temple Mount. I made videos. I was kicked off the Temple Mount 4 times. They thought I was a Jewish spy. I have had so many death threats. My whole life has changed. Hamas, the terror regime in Gaza, they shared a video of mine. They wrote an article about me. I had to almost go into hiding and, kind of step back for a while, because if you stand with Israel, you touch the apple of God's eye. So I have been doing this for many years. Now it started with Ramadan. When that started about a month ago, we started having riots around the Temple Mount and also around Damascus Gate. Normally I go to Damascus Gate, I'm making videos. They have followed me around. They have taken my photos. They threatened me. We said, Jane Kiel, we know who you are. Leave our Aqsa in peace. I've been through a lot. So it started with all of these riots on the Temple Mount. And when things are escalating here, it always has to do regarding the Temple Mount and Jerusalem. It's the battle for Jerusalem. We know that from scripture also. So they started attacking the police at Damascus Gate. They started attacking the police on the Temple Mount. And then they started lynching Jewish people. This past month, I have barely slept. I have shared videos upon videos of them lynching Jewish people in the street. They beat them, they stab them, they shoot them, they pull them out of their car, they were stoning them. We have had several people who have died from this. And it started around Jerusalem, and then it has been spreading around to Jaffa and to Akko, some of the Israeli Arab cities. So it has been horrific this past month, absolutely horrific. You haven't heard about it in mainstream media until Hamas decided, we are going to start joining the fun. So they started firing rockets into Israel. And of course, now all of a sudden, mainstream media is getting involved because Israel retaliates. We had 4,360 rockets plundering into Israel in less than 11 hours. I have lived here now for 8 years, and we have not had anything towards Jerusalem because they don't dare. It's the capital. And for the first time, I was sitting here on my couch. I had been in the shower. I have actually been down by Damascus Gate making video. And all of a sudden I hear the siren going off, and they're shooting rockets at Jerusalem. And I have a bomb shelter, but I ran out of my balcony, and I went live on Facebook, and I was like, is this for real? Are they shooting at Jerusalem right now? And they were. So we have had so many,
because that's their holy city too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's bizarre.
It is. So it has been absolutely awful. So you have probably not heard about all of these attacks and the lynching. And one night, a couple of Arab terrorists, they went into a apartment building, and they went down in the parking garage, and they literally set the cars on fire because they wanted to burn all the Jews living in all of the apartments, and they had to flee for their lives. We have had so many people who were stoned and literally lynched in the street. You will not believe.
Lynch, like L-Y.
Yeah. Literally lynching them and beating them. We had one of them died. Another one is several people are now in the hospital. So this has never, I'm saying that, and listen, I had 1.3 million people I reached that in 1 week on my Facebook page because I went live. I was like, you don't hear what's really going on in mainstream media. You need to hear about this. And people were shocked. So I have really been so busy. And so people are like, are you serious? Is this going on? It's not just a rocket. And I said, it's not just a rocket. This has never been about a two-state solution, ever been about a two-state solution. What are we seeing right now in New York, in Los Angeles, in Paris? People are being lynched in your streets. People are being attacked. They're screaming death to the Jews. From the river to the sea, Palestine should be free, which is basically saying eradication of the Jewish people. And, we want to liberate. So it's not about a two-state solution. This is a demonic hate towards the Jewish people that has been trying to eradicate them almost since the beginning of time. And it's very much alive now. But the mainstream media is always, the occupation and...
Right. And everything that we see, and I know you know this because you're a journalist and you see what's going out in the news, everything that we hear and we see is Israel has attacked. Israel attacks. That's all.
Of course, Israel, of course they do something. What would you do if, for instance, we had 130 rockets in 5 minutes? What would you do if that flew into Dallas? Would you just sit and say, we're like the rest of the world? You can see I'm getting passionate because it's ridiculous. You need to show restraint. You need to show restraint. Right. This is not about Israel attacking some innocent civilian Palestinian children in Gaza. Gaza is ruled by a terror regime that is huge. They have thousands and thousands and thousands of members. They are using hundreds of millions of dollars to build bunkers and to build tunnels so they can attack Israel. They don't use it to build hospitals or schools or anything. Their hate towards Israel is bigger than they want to take care of their own people. So when they are attacking you, Israel has every right to defend herself, every right. And the difference is Hamas is just firing loose. They just send it off to kill Israeli civilians. There was a Hamas chief who was saying Israel doesn't even, and just was in an interview saying Israel doesn't have the right to exist. They are not, and he was asked, why are you murdering civilians? They are not civilians. You know, they are oppressor, they are aggressor, they are occupying. So just kill as many as possible. While Israel, on the contrary, went in and they took out 200 Hamas terrorists. They know who they are. They know what they have done. They know where they live. They know where they're hiding, and they took them out. Israel even called up an hour before and said, if there's any civilians in this area, we're going to bomb in 1 hour, evacuate.
Right.
What other nation does that?
Right, exactly. And I, because we have friends in Israel, I did hear about that. Again, who does that? I have a question for you. Throughout the different wars that Israel has walked through, and that there have been so many, there are always the miracle stories. There are always the stories of hope. And you hear about angelic beings that have shown up and people didn't know how we won this war, that kind of thing. Do you have one story that you could give us? Anything, a story of hope, something that you have seen God intervene yourself with the turmoil that's going on right now?
Every time something like this happens, God is always on the watchman. Forgive me for being a bit blunt here, but so many people are saying, oh, if I say we need to pray, blah, blah, blah. And people are saying, oh, but God is in control. Yes, he is, absolutely. But that doesn't mean we don't have to do anything. If we didn't have the Israeli military, we would have millions of dead Jews. If we didn't have an Iron Dome defense system, there would have been thousands of Israelis killed. God is using his people. God is using his army. And you have to remember, these soldiers, they are someone's daughter. They are someone's brother. They are someone's husband. They are someone's son. And they are just out defending this tiny little nation that God put his name down on. This is not any nation. God called this nation his own. So when we have something like this, 12 Israelis were killed during all of these rockets. That's a miracle. That is absolutely a miracle. It could have been thousands and thousands and thousands. 3 of those were foreign workers. Unfortunately, that was here. And then there was a 5-year-old boy. And he was actually in the bomb shelter with his mom, but shrapnel penetrated that bomb shelter and he was killed. It could have been a lot worse. It could have been a lot worse. But you also have to remember, like I said, this has been going on for years. Years, year after year after year. There's not a ceasefire now because Hamas doesn't have any more weapons. They're restocking. They need to rebuild now and, set up again, and then they're going to start firing rockets again. But the whole world right now, what are they doing? What are your country doing right now? They're sending hundreds of millions into Gaza. Egypt is sending 500 million into Gaza because they need to rebuild. But Hamas is stealing everything. Where are the media out interviewing all the Israelis who have lost a loved one or lost a house or deeply traumatized? You don't see it because mainstream media, they don't care. They have never cared. That's why I'm so busy every day on my social media, because what did God tell us? Comfort my people. Right. That's a commandment.
I know, and we're told to pray for the peace of Jerusalem. We continue to pray for the peace of all of Israel. And it's this tiny, tiny city, and people say it's the capital of Israel, but it's the capital city of the world.
Exactly.
Of the world, and everyone wants that. But it belongs to one group of people. And we will continue to Sha'alu Shalom Yerushalayim. We will pray. And we are anticipating, hopefully we can talk a couple months down the road, and you can give us even more of those miracle stories, because we just believe that God looks out for his people and those that honor and love him and serve him and are fighting to protect his land. And we couldn't be more thankful for you and your honesty and your insight. We will pray that his angels will guard you and protect you as you bring and speak the truth that the world needs to hear, and that more people will follow your page. Tell us your page one more time on your
everybody is on Facebook. So on Facebook, my page is simply Israel One Nation. It's Israel One Nation. It's very simple. On all other social media, I am known as Jerusalem Jane. I didn't pick that name, but that was given to someone who said, your boots on the ground, your name is Jane. And that just kind of picked on immediately.
So that's how it's a good name.
But listen, I am so honored and blessed, because when I see what the Jewish people have to endure, one of my very best friends was murdered in a terror attack. We used to sit here in my kitchen, the Christian and the Jew, and report to the whole world. It was very, very popular around the world, really speaking the truth. And one day he's out in the supermarket shopping. His wife said, go get some groceries. And he was stabbed in the back and just simply executed. And I can't even, it broke me. But you don't hear about that. And if you do, he's just a settler who is living the occupied West Bank. All of these false narrative that has been told so many times that for the world right now, but it is occupied. There has to be a two-state solution. The Jewish people are occupying. They deserve it. It's an apartheid state. When that has been, the lie has become the truth. So I will never be out of a job, because every time there's only one like me speaking the truth, there's 10,000 of on the other side spreading the lies. And the Jewish people are really, they are looking and they're saying, are you serious? Who is with us? Who is with us? And sometimes prayer is not enough. And I have encouraged everybody following me, listen, go out and make a rally in the streets. Well, how many pro-Palestinian rallies have you seen now where they are screaming death to the Jews? Mm-hmm. The Jewish people are looking around saying, where are the pro-Israel rallies? Where are the Christians who travel here and who say they love us? They pray for us. We would like to see some action. So that's an encouragement I want to bring to your viewers.
Allowed in. COVID.
No. I mean, wherever you are around the world. I just saw, that you go and make a rally in Copenhagen or Dallas or London, and I have seen that, that people are out in the streets around the world saying we stand with Israel. So right now things calm down because there was a ceasefire, but who knows how long that's going to be. And by the way, we had a terror attack. I was actually at that train station a few days before, and this terrorist just ran up and he just jacked this huge knife in the shoulder of a soldier just standing there and wounding another one. And it happens all the time. You just don't hear about it.
I will continue to pray for you.
Thank you.
Peace in your life.
Yes.
I pray as Moses came down that hill and they couldn't even look at his face because it's shown that there would be a supernatural shine on your face and that people would see that on you and see that there's something different, and that protection would follow you as it has, but also that your voice needs to continue to be heard, and you will be a go-to for so many for the truth, and that God will just continue to bless you as he does. And I'm just so happy to see your face. And
Thank you. Likewise.
Pray tonight that you have a sweet sleep and more strength for tomorrow and more strength for every day. And we here love you and we're thankful for you. And I'm so glad to meet you via Zoom. And thankful for this media.
Thank you so much. Let's meet when you come back to Jerusalem.
Okay. Thank you so much, Jane.
Thank you.
Toda rabah.
Thank you.